All right. Good morning, Little Rock. Grab your coffee, get jacked up. It's time for another episode of the Block Talk podcast. I'm Jamie Taylor, and I'm here with my friend Geovanni. Leva.
Yes.
How are you this morning?
Very good. Excellent. Excited and happy to be present.
Yes, and welcome to the show. Everyone knows I usually drink out of that cool mug, but got to make an exception for the best coffee in town and to hang out with my friend.
Yes.
And hear your story. You have such an incredible story. So first, how we met. Honestly, I'll tell you that I knew who you were from going to Nexus all the time and seeing your brand. Then I'd get behind you in the school line sometimes and I'd kind of see you around town. And so as time went on, I wanted to know more about you, but it wasn't until I was involved in a venture recently where I got to meet you. And so I really just want to dive in from the point of like, hey, you're in Little Rock. You've created this massive brand. Everybody now knows who you are, but that's not how it started. I want to get right to the beginning of your story.
Well, it's been one of those things that God has allowed me to be a part of and just be a member of what He has allowed me to be from the get-go. It all started with a simple magical dream that started when I was 7 years old. And it started that one day, first of all, I'm born and raised in Guatemala. Proudly Guatemalan. I love the fact that God has allowed me to be here to represent my people, my country, and Guatemala is just a gorgeous place, and it needs to be represented in many possible ways. So, born and raised in Guatemala, and I'm out of a small village in Guatemala, close to at that time was about maybe 2,800 people, remote place. Only 4x4s can get up there. There was no roads. You had to walk everywhere, mud piles everywhere, no running water, no electricity.
It's a big contrast.
Right. And I grew up between there and the city of Guatemala, Guatemala City. But at 7 years old, I had this dream that one day I will come to the United States and that I will learn English. I will learn computers. I love technology. I've always loved technology. And technology is my first love. And after I do that, I will go back to Guatemala and start a business that will help pastors access technology.
That is the smartest thought, though, for a 7-year-old ever to have, right? I mean, so I'm sure it wasn't like all the way planned out, but you definitely knew you wanted to go somewhere.
Right. I wanted to do somewhere. I wanted to do something different.
To give back.
I always wanted to be to stand out. I always wanted to be that different kid because from the very beginning, I understood that God had created me for a purpose. And I was unique and there was nobody else in the world like me. And therefore, since nobody else in the world like me, I had to do things that nobody else had done. And so that really started the process in my head. And so 7 years old, I had this thought, I'm going to do this. And I went to my parents and my parents are like, yeah.
You are 7.
Yeah. And besides that, you kind of forget where you are. And you kind of forget that only the richest of the richest of the richest of the wealthiest of the wealthiest go to America. Nobody else gets to go to America. And I'm like, but mom and dad, I gotta go. And they're like, sure, let's keep on going, keep on studying and everything. So to give you a way to get equal thought on here, it would be like you and I thinking that we're gonna go with Elon Musk on the next SpaceX to the space station. Right. That's literally how impossible it was.
Same chances.
Yeah. But just like every great man that has had a thought, it all starts with a simple thought, and it all starts with with determination and intention to do that. So fast forward that to I'm 18 years old, just turned 18. I learned a couple of words of English, and I find myself on Little Rock. Flying by myself in Little Rock, not knowing any English, with my parents' life savings of $20, a shoebox of belongings, and the clothes on my back, and all the desires and want to succeed at every level that I can go. And I get to ULR, and ULR says, sorry, yes, your grades are amazing, because I really went into school and I graduated with high degrees in Guatemala, but high honors in Guatemala, but they were like not good enough because you don't know any English, and we can't put you in school. And so that turned into, I said, okay, so what does that mean? They're like, well, we can't go to school, and if you can't go to school, you can have a student visa, and if you don't have a student visa, you got to go back. And so I said, okay, well, what do I have to do?
What does that
and they
look like?
said, if you learn English by the next semester, you can enroll. And you will have to enroll immediately in some sort of English learning. And I said, done. Give me 6 months and I'm going to be in school.
Yo sé,
And,
aprendo inglés, yeah.
right. You said no, I said
Yeah.
I can't. And then in 8 months I was fluent.
I love that.
8 months I was fluent in English. I went from learning a few words to completely fluency. I was translating at that point. I went to mission trips to translate. I was hanging out with every person that I could to. And so, right, I completely immersed myself. So I learned English. I went on to graduate from Pulaski Tech with a 4.0 with an honor society, the very first international student to graduate from Pulaski Tech. I ended up graduating there. I ended up meeting the woman of my dreams on the last semester. I ended up being able to stay here because I got a job as a computer programmer. And we married soon after that. And my life literally went from the college kid with the dreams of this $20 to now I have an opportunity to fly and fly high.
Pause. Okay. Actually, you started as a 7-year-old boy thinking, so actually the dreams were realized way early on in this journey. So before we move to the chapter of, okay, now I've got what I need, I'm going to give the world something to really look at and be proud of. You actually stop along the way, achieve your dream. And then you're like, all right, what else can I do? So I want to stop and point that out though, because you also landed somewhere, the determination, the sheer, I've done that before. I'm actually in the middle of that now. When you make a determination of, I'm going to learn a new language, people are like, why? Because I want to do this thing. I have to figure this out. So the adversity that you face is one thing, but when you start hitting the challenges, you start having to run through walls. In those moments, is there ever something that you can say concrete that you go back to every time? I fall apart. How do I put it back together? Because you didn't meet your wife yet. So before her, what did you do when you broke down? And then we'll go back into computer programming.
I can't believe you asked that because I missed that part. I used to miss living in Guatemala. And I might get a little emotional here because living in Guatemala was probably one of the hardest things I've ever done. But I knew that anything that is worthwhile is a challenge, right?
Difficult.
But I knew that that I had a dream that was bigger than me, and I just didn't know what it was. I just knew I had. And like it goes all back to Psalms 139 says that you were created in your mother's womb and you were knitted together. And then at the end of it, he said, every day of your life was written down. And that you were created for good works, which he prepared in advance for you to do. And I just knew I had good works prepared. And so when you ask me what I did when I fell asleep crying, after studying from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the morning and then fall asleep crying because I couldn't learn English and I couldn't speak. And I was in this world and I was like, maybe this was just a big mistake. Maybe I couldn't talk to my parents because you couldn't call. And what I did is I go back to that. I go back, this is bigger than me. Maybe if I just step back and go, this is just beyond me, and I just choose to believe that, maybe that can tarry. And so for 3 to 5 months, that's literally what I did every single night. And my mom would, actually, we talked about this all the time, and my mom actually cried to my dad and said, you got to bring him back. But what happened is we didn't have any money. My parents gave all their money so that I could come here. So my dad was like, I literally have no money to buy him a ticket. So there's just no way he can come back. So 3 months of that is what, so when things go back hard, and they get hard really quite often, I go back to that. Our purpose in life is not to be a reservoir, but to be a river, and to be this beautiful waterfall that just splashes everybody around you. But what's important is to know what's inside of you. So whatever is inside of you comes out at some point. So if you squeeze an apple, you're gonna get apple juice. So all you gotta do is focus on what's inside of you. Yeah. And so my relationship with God was really important for me. I really became it really became clear that that was the only way I was going to be able to succeed at any level, and stay level at every level, and stay balanced at every level. And so I started, I was like, okay, well, listen, if I'm going to die, I might as well die trying swimming. And if I died, might as well die giving it all I got. So that's where I decided, okay, well, I'm going to just achieve as fast as I can achieve, and see if maybe this is something to do. And along the way, I'll get to help people. And so my getting help and wanting to help back to the village has always been there. It's always been a part of what I do, because when you focus on other people's problems, your problems seem to go down.
Dissipate.
Right.
So that's one thing that now you've got all the success and you've built through the adversity. And I think that's so important, because first of all, more adversity, and applause to you for pushing through all of that, but also breaking barriers in a place like you talked about. When you land in Little Rock and you have nothing but $20 and you've built what you built, the lack of access in the beginning, but look at what you've built from there, and look what you've inspired to take place for other people to have access to that. And that goes back to what your access brings to Guatemala. So go from here. Now you've married your beautiful wife.
Yes.
And I know you guys have kids and stuff. So yeah, tell me the story of your, the easy part, falling in love, building a family.
Well, it was really easy. It was, I saw her walking by, and I literally was like, oh my word.
I feel like you have a direct line to God or something. You're like, ding. Oh, yeah, like, that's my wife. That's my business. That's
I literally saw her and I was like, all right, can we make this one happen?
Can we marry?
Can I just ask one and that's it? I'm done. Just make her. And it was really love first sight, really. I mean, we really fell in love quickly. Really knew. I told her, I said, I know you're going to be my wife a week after I met you. And I told her, I said, you're going to be my wife.
You're going to make me cry like over and over again this morning. Goodness gracious.
And then she goes, I have no clue what to say at that moment, and I didn't know if I should run away or if I should stay. And so I just stayed because I didn't know what else to do. And so Elena and I have just celebrated 20 years of marriage. So
congratulations.
Thank you. It's been the most amazing 20 years of our life together. We've been together longer than apart. And I love her today more than I ever love her, because of the amazing human being that she is, the powerful spirit that she is, the connection with the Lord that she is, the mom, the business partner, the tap on your back, and the lovely, beautiful woman that she's in the outside. Just happens to be the cherry on the cake. So we ended up getting married. We ended up having 2 boys, and then business starts. So I'll tell you, let me go back a little bit, because we get married and I do programming, and I went from, those, I think I ended up making, they gave me $1,000 sign-up bonus to, in 14 years, I ended up helping this company write over 75% of their code. I ended up helping them translate things into Spanish and English. I helped train people. I traveled to California. I traveled to all the parts of the country, helping lead trainings. I would write software, and I would do that. And I became really good friends with Troy. And Troy, Mike, and Craig were really, really imperative to this whole thing. So I'm living an awesome life, if you will, an American dream over and over. But I will go home every year because I miss my beautiful country, Guatemala. My entire family lives over there. So I will go home, and every time I will go home, I would throw this huge party for the village. And a lot of times the only meat that they would eat would be that time of the year, because there was not, everything else was rice and beans, and very little red meat. And so we would throw this huge grill party for the kids. And so I started taking my kids down there. And one day I am take my kids one trip, and I have my oldest, Elijah. And Elijah's playing with the kids. We're having this piñata. And then during this time, I'm giving them some gifts that I brought. And I see Elijah among all these other kids, and I see eyes. And I just see this beautiful set of eyes, brown, shiny eyes with these huge smiles. And I go, oh my gosh, my Elijah's future looks completely different than all these other kids, and they're all identical in their eyes and their soul, but have no chance to a better future. And that is the moment that I decided, OMG, I now know why I was brought to the States, because I knew that at that point, what had happened to me, I now had to do in them. So at that moment, I decided that the rest of my life was going to be dedicated to give chances to a better future to anyone that I come in contact with. And so my vision for the world is to create these spaces where I can enlighten people to get connected with the amazing, beautiful creation that God has created them to be, and then go impact the world in their own way. And so that moment, I decided, okay, what these people need is they need a sustainable market. What these people need is they need then somebody to help them here now, and to allow them to have opportunities for a better future. You know, Michelangelo said, the best way to criticize is by creating. And I said, the market is broken. The market is completely broken. So the only one is, if it's going to be up to me. And I'm going to be the one that is going to change this. And so I'm going to infect everybody around me to believe that we can do this. And so my goal from that day, it was the birth of Labus. On the way back, I read a proverb that says, the Chinese proverb in a magazine that says, if you give a man a fish, you will feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you will feed him for a lifetime. And I was like, this is exactly what happened to me. So I understood at that point that the only way to eradicate poverty at any level of your life is through educate and capitalize. And so I was like, okay, that's it. So on a napkin, I wrote the vision of Labus, and that was to eradicate poverty, to break cycles of poverty, and to eradicate poverty one cup at a time through giving opportunities for a better future. So I started with 50 bags of coffee that we brought, because my family grows coffee. We've been in the coffee industry for over 100 years.
Yeah, this is like another pivot point where I get to say, hold on a second here. Because you literally come in, you realize your dream, then you double down on your dreams, marry a beautiful woman, have 2 children, take your kids back home to see your family, realize that there's another calling, figure out you have to come home and learn a whole new set of skills.
Right.
And you have a background and basis in it just because of where your family started. And we'll get there in just a second. But I think what you just said was so key, because again, we go back to all this opportunity. This opportunity to land somewhere, even if you have nothing. Right. This opportunity to come from a very difficult position and triumph to another one. And for you, it's all connected through the journey that you are meant to take. And that's how you feel about all of humanity. So it's just kind of crazy to me, because I feel like you're very, please infect me with the same thing. I'm like, I want the same exact, I'm going to go change the world when we leave. So let's get going. Okay. So,
yes, absolutely.
So how does coffee come about? I mean, when you're writing this vision, have you coffee's always been in your family, or?
Well, coffee's, so we've grown coffee for over 100 years. My great-grandfather, my grandfather got it from, my grandfather has been growing coffee, learning from his dad. He ends up with this farm that we have now. It's only about 10 acres. It's been in our family. My grandmother, Abuela Reina, that's her name, Reina, is queen, and that, therefore, go on, that's the whole crown and all that.
That's beautiful.
It's in honor of that amazing woman that I get to call Abuela. She says that it was back in the 30s. But she says it's longer than that. She's like, I really don't remember. As far as I can tell, it's somewhere in there. So we figured out it's close to 100 years somewhere in there that we've been growing coffee. And so we grow coffee, we give it to the middleman, who gives it to another middleman, and we never knew where our coffee went. And so we just did it because that's what we did. And that's what a lot of people do, a lot of places do it. They just do it because they do it. And that's it. There's no reason why. It's just it. And so I know we have coffee. And I always loved coffee, but coffee was never a thought. When you grew up in the coffee industry, up to this point, because we're changing that, is coffee is just like something that you do because you have to, not something because you get really proud of doing. And so coffee was never a thought. Coffee was never in. And right now, to be honest with you, I could easily be selling cups. I could easily be selling rocks. The commodity means nothing to me.
Economics work around selling anything.
Exactly.
Right. You're a bilingual computer programmer.
Right.
For you, you're going to solve problems in front of you. Right.
Right. It couldn't be anything at this point because my center is not in the commodity. My center is not in that, but it is. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, because it's there and it was a resource that you could literally pivot on, that you could sit here and go, oh, wait, now I've got all this knowledge of technology and business and education and things I can distribute. And this could help my village because it's centered there. Right. And when I come visit, I can oversee this. I can grow it. Oh, that entrepreneurial thing, like once you got it.
Oh, yeah. And there's a huge phrase that that I get to center a lot of things. And it's what if? What if I can? So my thought was, what if? Instead of them selling their coffee like they do right now because they have to, what if I could virtually bring him to America and we could trade like they were sitting next to me, and I could trade coffee just like that with them and take out everybody in the middle and go directly to the consumer. And then now I can create a win-win situation, because let me tell you something, the coffee you're drinking right now, this coffee literally has no hands but my parents in my hands, and you get to the benefit of going from farm to cup. So you benefit from that. So I created value for that, and in exchange for that, you're creating a sustainable market for somebody. Then now, guess what? Doesn't have to leave Guatemala, doesn't have to leave their family to go look for work, because now they have a way to get to be secure in their work, to have to be proud of what they do, because they know that their work is actually benefiting the people that they actually can see. My grandfather once said, I would love to shake the hands of the people that drink my coffee. And guess what? I get to embody that. Yeah, I get to embody that. And there's no greater joy than to know that the work that we do is directly affecting somebody else.
Well, you're looking at a bunch more Elijahs now. Right. Because there are so many more opportunities for all of those kids. They have places to work. Right. Crafts to come up with. And people forget, when you create a company, it isn't just about the coffee. It's not just about the farming. Right. It's about the distribution and the packaging and the people who you have to hire, and the branding and the marketing and who are you going to sell this to. And look at the combination of what you've done just in one coffee shop in Little Rock that I know of.
Right. Exactly.
And you have coffee going around the whole entire world.
Yes. So now we get to share coffee with a lot of different people, and we get to do more. Like we get to, I love for everybody to get a Labus in their mailbox every single month. Why? Because they don't have to worry about where that coffee is coming from. They know that that's taken care of. They don't have to worry about when it's roasted. They don't have to worry about, is it being fair? Is it being treated? No, I know exactly what it's doing. We're creating schools. We're building future. We eradicating spiritual, emotionally, and educational poverty. We're completely, and I love the word eradication. I love words, by the way.
Yeah, they're good containers.
I told you earlier what they are. They're a container, and eradication gives me a clear picture of what it is. Eradicating,
get rid of it.
You completely get rid of it. And what that means is when you cut a weed, the root is still in there, but it's gone. But what happens is if you eradicate it, that weed no longer can be in there. And so that's what the eradication work came from for me. And so, so that's where Labus is about creating community. It's about eradication of poverty. It's about giving opportunities. It's about creating possibilities where there's no possibilities. It's about doing things that you dare to do because you thought, why not?
Yeah.
Why can't it be done? And why shouldn't it be done? And now, listen, now I get to have conversations with people, with amazing people like you, that we get to talk over coffee. I wouldn't have been able to do that any other way. Coffee gets a way to bring people together, and it is the second most drank beverage in the world. And why shouldn't we use it for its power that it has, rather than just being this warm cup water that we drink and we hope it gives us energy, and then everybody that produces has no way to play. And I was like, no, we got to make it fair so that everybody plays. You play, I play, and we all benefit in the meantime. And so that is what Labus stands for. Labus stands for this movement of being able to change the world one cup at a time. And that's what every cup empowers. My goal is that every time you drink Labus, you feel empowered to go change the world in whatever shape and form that you choose to, because only you can change the world like only you can.
Yep.
Because there's everybody else is already taken. FYI.
It's funny that you're saying this too, because when you sat down and you were talking to me earlier about your story, and I was like, wait, we're gonna record. It was because I got very emotional listening to you talk, because I was thinking about, I hear that a lot when I go out. People are like, how could you just give up this or change that and just do whatever you want to do? Don't you worry about what people think? Doesn't that make you feel like people might judge you for that? I don't really care. At the end of the day, I get one life. Right. I have this hourglass going down. I have no idea how much is in the top. I don't know when it's going to end, and I have just only so much time. Right. So every day I have to look at what opportunities are in front of me, and how much can those opportunities impact the world around me, because like you said, God will, or the universe, however you believe, is going to reach out to you and say, hey, I only have you to do this. So you either do it or you don't. Yeah. But your impact is going to rely on whether or not you make the choice to run through a wall, move to the United States, graduate with your degree from Pulaski Tech, marry your wife, have your 2 kids, build a computer programming company, and build a coffee. Right. Sorry, you've done a lot.
Well, yeah, I've been busy a little bit.
Right. But you've got to talk to me a little bit about how this goes from here, though, because now you're in a situation where, a couple questions. One, why Little Rock, in the sense that you started here, you've built it here. I could see the loyalty there, but I'm curious, and I want you to kind of express how you feel about the city and kind of where, where you're at now. And then also what's next.
So let me give you a little bit more on the idea of the uniqueness, because I think it would really support you in this, is thinking of a prism and shining that glass over the sun rays, and how the different aspects of the rainbow come about, because the same light hitting it, but when it hits it at a different angle, it shines completely different. So my world and my circle of influence is completely different than yours. So my job is to change this circle of influence the way that I was designing to do. And then if you do that, and then our circle joins together, that's how we change the world. Yeah. And that's how the world will become a better place. It is not you going out there and fighting for your own and staking your own ground, but it is you with a purpose of carrying this flag that would infect other people to do the exact same thing. And then if we all hourly coming out of pure love to love each other, and to be able to just shine the world, shine that light through our angle, then we get to change the world together. And that's what the beautiful part about working together to change the world. And then we get to do things like this. So now I get to share the coffee with anybody that I can that I can do it, but also, in the world. So we ship coffee from Little Rock. So I've traveled a little bit in the United States, and there's no place like Little Rock, really. Little Rock is just gorgeous. It is so natural.
Listen up.
Although, by the way, I hate pollen season. Let me just tell you that. I hate pollen season. I hate being green. Mr. Green can go away, because I really hate being green. So I hate pollen season, and I hate humid days by far. But besides that,
humid days are very difficult around here.
But fall days are gorgeous.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Right. So beautiful city. You can get anywhere in the world from here, one stop away. You don't have to deal with the traffic of going to place. People are just so lovely. They're so genuine. They're all really, really get the spirit of hospitality. And so I love for those aspects. I love Little Rock. And so when you think of, okay, so where else could I have done this? I could have done it almost anywhere at this point, because I can.
You were not going to not do it.
Right,
anyway,
exactly.
So, yeah.
But at the same time, I thought, man, what if I could just take where I started, where it all started? And so my love for Little Rock is always been there. From here, my goal for the city of Little Rock, or my vision for the city of Little Rock, is for us to be a destination and it would be the Mecca of coffee. I don't know, but what if I could? What if we can?
Well, if you say it, I'm going to probably subscribe to that, because, but you said earlier, real quickly before you say that you said when we met the first time, that linking arms with like-minded people to influence the world around us is honestly your goal. And I remembered that. I remembered the sentence verbatim because I was thinking, that's what I want to do. And an interesting piece of that was we did have a person in common that like you guys literally had not met. And I'm like, how do you guys not meet? You have such similar backgrounds and stories. And it's just interesting what you said, because you put these people in together because their prisms shine in ratio to each other. And then boom, all of a sudden there's a brighter light. And I'm so excited to see what this looks like in 10 or 15 years when we do an anniversary episode.
Right. Exactly. When we're talking about
from the Coffee World headquarters down here in Little Rock.
Exactly. When we come to my headquarters and we do it out of the headquarters out there. Absolutely. Yeah. But that's what I want. I want people to, when they go and travel and they make their plans, they're going to go, oh my gosh, you got to stop in Little Rock. Yeah. If you love coffee, you got to stop in Little Rock, and you got to stop at Labus and all this. That's my vision.
I think we can already do that because we'll just tell them on the Block Talk, all of our listeners, everybody come to Little Rock and just come have
coffee. Let's just have a big coffee party, and we have a
coffee festivals.
Right, exactly. Coffee festivals. Why not have a world championship here one point?
I don't know. I'm about to go down to the Plaza Frida and ask them if we can throw a festival.
Why not? We got to. I mean, and it's just beneficial for all of us to do that. And then we have so many families here from all over the coffee regions of the world. What if we could just find Labus families all over the world, and we can start, and Labus can be the gateway for all these families and being able to shine their story through all of the coffee industry.
Okay, but that's where I get really excited because like you said, this business and same, I feel the same way, that business encompasses other businesses.
Right.
So it's not just the coffee. When you go back to these villages or places that need opportunities extended to them, you're giving them an opportunity because you're giving them access to something, and it doesn't have to be coffee. No. Their family could make something entirely different, totally different. And it's funny to me too, because some of the things that come here art-wise and furniture-wise, and I mean from all these different regions that you're talking about, they're beautiful, and we want to see more of that culture. And so, yeah, I love your vision for Little Rock. I'm so excited.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine if you're like a center point, a hub to go out that way? And because everything comes in and goes and radiates back outside. You know, the universe, you were talking about the universe gives you back whatever you put in. So if you put in, negativity, is going to give you back negativity. It literally bounces back at you. And so that's what I chose to do. Okay, screw this. Well, I'm just going to try to do and go for the best of the best. And I tell my wife, I tell this quite often. I say, honey, you're going to see me die with a bullet on my chest. You're not going to see me die with a bullet on my back. I'd rather go for it and fight for everything that we got. And this is where the drive-thrus came. So that was the idea of the drive-thrus. I said, you know what? Let's just go give it all we got. What the heck? And let's just go for it.
Yeah.
And find out what we can do. And then we shift and we pivot it. But at least we know we gave it. And we're going to at least figure out how to ride this bike. And we might get scraped out a couple times. But afterwards, imagine we're doing wheelies. And that's what I see myself doing, those wheelies on down the street.
You have the best analogies. I bet you wish you would have rode a bike here too.
Exactly. Yeah. Right.
And that's the thing that really gets me is I mean, looking in the mirror this morning, no joke. I mean, I don't script this show. It's always conversational. I just want to get your story and I want to share with you and hear from you. And I'm literally like in my own world, how can I make the world a better place? How can I make this work for me? What can I put out there to get it back good? And it's just so nice to hear that just infectious energy. It's like what you said, you can completely infect other people with that excitement and with that. What you've done is you've created a template for other people to say, it doesn't matter if I come from struggle. It doesn't matter if I don't even speak your language.
No, it does not matter at all.
It doesn't matter whatever I am meant to do.
It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter if you were born with it or without it. It doesn't matter what part of the world you were born. As long as it matters here, this is why dreams have to drive your life. Because whatever you say here is possible. And that is the biggest superpower that the Lord has given each of us, is our minds. The problem is our minds are being taken and being driven by somebody else. And when we take ownership of our mind, we disconnect from the matrix. Literally, that's probably the easiest way that I can put that.
Everybody needs to disconnect. Yeah,
disconnect from the matrix in a way that we can actually live the life of intention. Live the life of purpose. Live the life of being able to be a source and being an input into the world rather than just sitting and taking it in.
Okay, well, before I start crying some more, we're going to move on to just kidding. But you know what? Thank you for coming on the show and for sharing all of this with me, because I think what's missing a lot in this current situation is everyone's so distracted by the next thing of the moment. And this is happening and that's happening. And there's so much attraction on all the bad things that are happening. And it's so rare to hear and listen to and focus on the story of somebody who has literally in the beginning, nothing. You started with nothing. And we're born into, at least in the United States, so much wealth.
Yes.
So much wealth. There is running water. There's plumbing for most of us, always, our whole lives. Electricity doesn't even, I don't think twice about it. So it's fun for me to watch something like this happen and be able to try with everything I have to get it out there louder and bigger and amplify it and see what I can do to help as well encourage your dreams. So drive-thrus, tell me about Levia's Express.
Yes, so I'll tell you about Labus Express. Labus Express started with, again, one of those, what if I could
Why not?
moments. Why not? And then let me just back up real quick to what we've done at the village. So the village went from being 1800s America to about 3 years ago, we got electricity. To us forming a nonprofit, there is coffee for education, that we educate the village now. We went from my bedroom turned into a school. We have a school now and we educate kids via Skype. So we've been doing Zoom and virtual schools before it was cool.
Yeah, it was never cool.
Exactly.
Just FYI,
Exactly.
it's a necessary platform,
cool,
right?
And so, and it's done down. And so there's a nonprofit that is, if you go to our website, there is a coffee for education. And we formed this whole completely nonprofit. That it's because we Levias are a for-profit business and we didn't want this whole thing, well, you're doing this and that for this. No, we're a for-profit business and we want to bring you the best cup of coffee, of the cup of excellence to your doorstep. And our intention is to use every bit of that we do and do it with excellence at every moment that we do it. And so that's where Levia's Express comes. Levia's Express is our way to get into the serving by the cup and allow us to show you how we as a family believe in excellence in hospitality and give you the best cup of coffee that we can make ourselves with the beans that we're given so that your day can be brightened.
I'm seriously so excited for this. And where am I? Because it's coming up pretty quick too.
So it's within 2 weeks. We're waiting for the city to give us approval. So city, if you're listening, please hurry up. Can we get the Arkansas Health Department to quickly come by, please? No, that's it. So we're waiting for those things, and then we will have it in West Little Rock. It's gonna be over there by the Bank of the Ozarks on Cantrell. I've always thought if I was gonna do something, I needed to bring it to West Little Rock because West Little Rock doesn't have coffee up there. And we needed something. So
and there's a few other areas of the city, and now you're in trouble because the whole thing with you and your why nots is I have those same problems, and I'm gonna why not Levia's Express all over town. So.
At this point,
you already know I've been calling you anyways about other ventures, so I'm gonna keep after it.
Right, and our goal is to have it all over the city because I want to touch as many lives as possible. And I wanna share coffee the way my family share coffee in Guatemala. And I want to invite you to my living room. I want you to come and have coffee with me. And this Express is just for us to quickly get to know each other. And then when we have our warehouse and we have our coffee shop where we're going to be able to sit and we'll have this beautiful mecca that I told you about coffee, that it will come at some point. I don't know if my sons are going to be the ones, but who the heck cares?
No, that's
gotta
us.
have the
we
vision.
Got it. 5 years, we're good.
Right. And so when you and I can have that, and then we can have these gatherings over there, and it's all gonna be watching and celebrating all the benefits that we brought to many people around the globe, and being able to have people from all over the world come and actually get to meet these people, shake the hands of those people. That's where I'm going with this. So Levia's Express was on my way to say, hey, I want to be present in the coffee industry, and I'm just going to do it from this angle. I'm not directly competing with anybody because I'm not here to compete. I'm just here to create because that's the way I'm going to criticize, is by creating, and I'm just going to do it from my angle. And I'm here to do it with everything that I got and with all the possibilities that I can think of doing it for the benefit of everyone that surrounds us.
Well, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story with me and with our listeners, because for me, I feel like I've not only heard an incredible story of triumph over adversity, of innovation through trials, but also, and I have a new word for you. This is one of my favorites. It's called co-opetition.
Co-opetition.
Like a few years ago, when I got into the real estate industry, I felt like it was so oversaturated and so competitive. And I was like, why can't we cooperate? And then I was like, wait, we could co-opetition, because there is, if you're...
Oh, I love that one. I'm borrowing that.
I wanted to give you a container.
Yeah, so I love that one. I can already picture it.
So if you're going to take, this is for you. Thank you for coming on the show. But that's literally, I thrive on, there you go. I thrive on the co-opetition, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to link arms with you and see what we can do together. And so before we sign off, I do want you to get that website out real quick. If you'll put your website out, and then also, you already gave me the location. I'm going to the bank, OZK, and I'm going to find.
Right. So you're just going to
the Labus Express.
Right. You're just going to look for the Mecca the OZK built.
No, I'll just go out and go.
Yeah, and
there's the coffee,
and then you'll find us. You'll be right there. It will be obvious. You'll see the crown. You'll see Grandma being represented by the big old crown somewhere. So we'll be there. So our website is Labus Coffee, and Labus is my last name is Leva, and it's Leiva, and it's pronounced like laying back. Labus Coffee.
Yeah, it's a super laid back vision that you have too. Exactly. Super laid back.
Just why not?
Yeah, well, this has been an incredibly wonderful pleasure to meet you and then get to know you. So I know that the premise of our show is to add value to the block of time that people share with us to listen to these stories, and you have added an incredible amount of value. Thank you for being here. So we'll put this out, and everybody will be able to visit your website by clicking on the link below, and everything will just, I don't even know what to say, because I'm scared to see what happens from here. I mean, I want to say like, we'll see you at the Coffee Mecca, but then I'm afraid in 2 years it'll literally be a Coffee Mecca, and I'll be like, where's my new studio at the Coffee Mecca? So
come join me over here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. And
I'll get to do this often. Let's do it more, and let's just have more conversations about this, and empowering more people. And like I tell you, I appreciate you letting me have a venue by which I can at least enlighten somebody today, by choosing to go after their dreams, because their dreams are worth living.
And they're way more than possible, as you have exhibited. So
absolutely.
You did just give me a sign off then. So we'll see you guys at the Coffee Mecca, and Geovanni will probably have his own podcast where he has conversations over coffee.
Over coffee.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. Little Rock, thanks for tuning in with your block of time, and we will see you next time. Block Talk signing off.